I'm all set. Does anybody need anything else? You have everything you need as far as information already, right? You've got the packets and such.
Meaning of both.
It's a very good question. Tell me by the end if you know.
All right, welcome to the January 2025 Village of Fayetteville Planning Board meeting. We have a very familiar agenda. We have two SMBCs on Tuesday. You see the same thing. All right, so on board here for your site was approved. Your sign went in with the cleft for the variance that got approved.
Right.
What you're here for tonight is just the directional sign.
Correct.
On
Which I put in from the original application, but I think it just got missed in the,
right.
yeah.
Chance to look at this.
So we just want to amend the sign approval that we did last time as far as addressing this particular,
So this is strictly amendment.
because you approved the main sign. This is a directional sign.
Existing approval. We had, the sign that is a directional sign is attached to the fence. It's, here it's 2 foot by 20 inches, that have not changed. And it's, we think it's well needed because of the location around the back.
Hi.
Opposed? There we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Barb.
Before we get started, let me.
I appreciate it.
We have to go through all.
Make a motion.
Gonna send me
Declare
the
Board of Appeals Planning Board of Convenience and for the review of this, against considering applicants. All in favor? Any opposed?
So you did seeker for the sign? Okay.
Now this amended package just came to us. So up to us, I had a chance to look at it. I'm sure
So it's similar to what was submitted before, but this provides specific dimensions to be better able to review it.
Understanding is the one we submitted prior is that thrown out. Is that right? But that's this one. Because this one.
What was submitted before the last meeting, I would disregard. This has more accurate information.
So no, that one's been responded. For the and here today, which came in today.
All right, this one.
Mishra, that's what you just gave to them, right? Okay, thank you. So she had copies for you from what was given to us electronically this morning.
Is this being modified as well then? Because this says.
Do you want her to explain?
The previous chapter.
I would say it's four, I think she was one here. Yeah,
So we're even getting rid of this one.
so the one that we just received is the, and it should say nice 5 into with 4 and.
So my point is, it should have this piece too, because we asked for it. So
It was a 4. No.
Oh, okay.
Because
This
it's-
is just the photo.
Yeah.
What she handed you is a copy of the application. Plus additional, this drawing and the dimensions.
Yeah, this says for,
This dimension was not given to me by the sign designer when he emailed me, just so you know. So I don't know who completed the application, if it was you or the sign company.
The sign design.
Okay, and the sign company gave you this?
Yes.
Right. This she just brought in, so I did not realize the numbers, so we can,
right?
well, the lettering might not be as wide as it is tall, so that could be accurate. This dimension actually is just telling you the height.
So we don't care.
Right.
Okay, so
Because honestly, this is only telling you the height. It's not telling you the width. It's silent to that, so we'd have to go by that anyway.
I thought this would be better. Yes. But it's, each doesn't have any. Okay.
Do you want her to go through it and explain more, or?
Yeah.
So, I think everything is the requirements are. So the, width could be 50 inches. And then the sign, the height is 20 inches and the lettering, is going to be, 5 inches, 5 inches wide. And the logo is 5 inches square. So it's everything is according to the specifications that are there.
This is not to scale, or this is scale.
This is not to scale, but it just shows you the dimensions. So
5 inches by 5 inches for a logo might be kind of small, right? It's gonna be a lot smaller than that. Gonna probably be,
Each of these, that's 5 becomes,
that's like,
5 inches.
that's about 10 inches.
It's right here. It's kind of- I can go for it, the house. I
What's,
can't visualize.
what's throwing us off of it is the fact that we got it in an email, but we just didn't get the printed version of this. I'm looking at putting the email today. With the update.
They have 12 inches was allowed for the logo.
last time we used 5 inches and
No, it
it
was-
became too big
It
for
was
us.
21, yeah. That's fine.
Yeah.
But
But is it really 5 inches? Because these,
It's that one.
This is.
you know, it's something that's right.
and these are not both
If we
5 inches.
approve it as 5 inches,
That's what it,
that's what it.
you know, the tiny ones. But I mean, my point is, you know, this is 20 inches, this could be 12 inches. That's what most
Right.
logos are, these are 12. And then keeping these at 5 is fine, because it's a long.
So plenty of room.
Yeah.
I prefer the spacing of that in between the columns. That was better.
Yeah, it's his scale, this is probably just 15 inches. It's like, this is like twice. It's like,
I agree.
this is fine. So, yeah, everybody-
But this is what it's gonna look like.
That's wow, too.
Up to 12.
The other thing is, I know this is signage, but there also shows lighting at this. Are we proposing, because I don't see it on the building here, but maybe it's above.
Yeah, right now there are no lights, but it's going to be like.
So we typically would see what the light fixture is. Did you submit that, what the light fixture will be?
It'll be stack lights and then be solar. Solar lights, yes.
Was that in the previous site plan review package or no?
No.
No. Because that's really what happened, not with sign.
What you saying is like that should have been submitted with details of those lights.
So in the application, we didn't mention anything about that.
And if it's,
It does ask for lighting.
if it's specific to the signage, it's fine, so. So what we can do tonight is we can give you an approval for the signage. As we're going to amend this to show 12 inches
Okay,
for the logo,
okay,
otherwise as presented.
okay,
And you want to do the gooseneck ribbon, you need to follow up with some details on that, like.
sure,
Specs, Kelvin cut sheet.
okay. Can do that.
So I'll make a motion to approve the signage package as submitted with the understanding the logo can be up to, but not more than 12 inches square. And that when the lights that you decide on are finalized, if you could please submit the cut sheet so that we can have it in our file.
So the lighting for that is not part of the approval, just the signage itself. So Karen, can you make sure the minutes?
So the lighting will be determined upon submittal at a later date, not approved as part of this.
Second. Second. Aye. Opposed?
Tell me how I understand this. On the 2nd of December, you came in for a site review. Gave us a chance to take a look at what we were doing. You got some feedback from us. You knew that you had already submitted to the ZBA. Went to the ZBA on the 16th. Received approval for not to exceed a combined 33,773 square feet, is that right? Which is adding 11,173,000 square feet to the existing 22,612 square feet. Right? In that, you also received feedback from neighbors and from the board. Yes. Are those changes including the obviously to that? Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Did we receive those yet?
We got the minutes. We didn't get any changes.
They didn't submit anything.
There might be let me review and the comments
The-
received from the public were noted. They were-
But you didn't change any drawings, because I specifically asked if there was anything new, and you said no, you were going to wait till after tonight.
Correct, nothing new. I do have, if the screen is working.
Okay.
We did pull together some renderings, today. Just to show how the building does look, from Genesee Street and Salt Springs. So Karen, for instance, something to take a look at that. But you will see there is change to the architecture, which was submitted. This is just a visual change. The building addition will still be white, matching existing. This is just for contrast. The yellow would be the proposed addition to the building. That's just to make it clear for the public and the board what is new and what is old. Nothing drastically, nothing has changed from the previous submission, so we're still stepping down the building in the back. This portion of the building is the 10 new service bays, and then this portion of the building is that previously described car wash slash photo booth,
idea.
which is smaller, as explained by the ZBA. This is about an 8,000 square foot addition. It's about a 2,000 square foot addition back to that 11,000 square feet. In terms of comments received, from the ZBA. Their general liking of the project, they agreed, obviously they approved the total addition. What we received feedback was from the public in terms of some of the site issues that were going on. One of them being the delivery of trucks.
Sorry, I'm having trouble.
Just quick, just to went back real quick with introductions. Vincent Ryan, Deputy Freeman Associates, Todd Pastor, Facilities Engineer, Colin O'Brien, David Duncan, Eric Hahn, and our architect, Brian Manthe. Todd or Colin had met after the meeting, exchanged phone numbers to confirm that trucks would be delivered at a certain time to meet the needs of the neighbors. Another complaint that came up was there were some downed trees as a result of an accident that occurred on site. Tree fell or something.
Yeah, it's actually damaged.
Tree died. We have a contract to replace that tree in kind. Right now, that tree is 10 to 12 feet. It has grown. We're replacing that, and then the parts are ordered for the fence that was destroyed. So those were the comments that we received from the neighbors. So those were kind of small comments that we're addressing outside of the site plan review. But it does bring into mention the trees. When this project was originally approved by the board 4 years ago, and we installed trees per plan. Since then, those trees, I think, have grown astronomically. I can bring this around, but looking at 239 Salt Springs Road, if you look back to his backyard, you'll see our 6-foot fence. And you'll see that our trees have already started to overgrow the top of it. So in another 4 years, we're looking to see that evergreen screening that has been provided to date, will continue. And then in other key areas, I can share this with the board so you guys can look closely at it. You can see that the building is almost invisible as it stands today.
Are there evergreens all along the railroad property?
It's a mix of deciduous and evergreen. So obviously we don't have trees on the deciduous that's back there, but there's a good mixture of trees. I think that was a result of providing the diversity that the board wanted at the time. So there's a mixture of plants provided back there. Looking from Genesee Street, we provided another rendering that actually shows the addition on it. But you can see with the step down and the change of color, it's almost identical to the existing building.
Was that picture from?
This is looking northwest and southeast along Genesee Street.
Where's Tracy's and where
I have no idea where that link is coming from. Can I get rid of it? The joy of technology.
This is Tracy's one.
I'm upset.
You're looking at that.
Yeah, sorry, I was backwards. That's Tracy's lumber, yes, and then this is looking northwest, northeast on Genesee Street. So that's the building rendered in, and the building rendered in on the other side. So in terms of addressing the screening, the visibility, we think, these renderings kind of show that it's pretty downplayed for the size of the building that's going to be. Again, this is the rear of the facility. We don't think it's going to be much of an impact. And then in terms of the neighbors on Salt Springs Road, we're addressing those comments with the neighbors as it stands right now. With the step down, this was mentioned in the first meeting. But there were 25-foot pole lights at the rear of the building. Obviously, those will have to be removed as a result of the addition. And then new wall packs will be placed on the building, but they'll be significantly lower. There'll be wall packs, so they'll be building mounted and focused towards the ground, so they're not going to be as lit as the poles were. Outside of that,
But how were you?
the original ones were either 20 or 25, somewhere in that range, and then these will be
There are 20-foot poles set in a base, concrete base, a couple feet
3
off the
feet,
ground,
yeah.
so 23 feet. So like that, and that will be at 14 feet to the wall.
And the wall packs are anything. we receive any kind of detail on those? Are they directional wall packs or is it just a wall pack with a glass space?
They'll have the cutoff and then they'll shine down. I do have to provide cut sheets. Let's add that for you guys for questions.
It was commented about vendors and noise. You can't control vendors to it. People should show up. Have you done anything with the building or with the landscape thought towards sound absorption or anything?
Well, the building, the garage doors, the overhead doors on the addition face to the east and to the west so that they don't, the main traffic is directed away from the neighbors on Salt Springs.
The same.
The two doors that do face Salt Springs are there for flexibility of use of the wash bay addition, so they'll be used to hand detail cars and to bring cars in and take photos of. So there's not a lot of noise
As
being
that
generated in that.
building gets extended back towards those neighbors, the benefits you get of those doors being on the sides is mitigated slowly. So is there anything that to save the exterior of the building? I also asked that, keeping in mind that there was a vendor, someone who comes and works on cars at times, and one of the neighbors had mentioned you can hear that. And I know we can talk to our vendors, I know all the time, and it's sure. So was anything, any thought put in there?
No, not architecture.
From a site perspective, again, vegetation is the same that it has been, and there's additional vegetation growing. Again, vegetation doesn't necessarily solve sound, but it helps to receive sound lower. Again, so as the vegetation grows, and obviously during the summer months when we are outside, it'll be reduced.
Bring the bed. It's with the plan. Small print, I have the painting shown on it.
So I mean, we've got planting abutting the building as it comes through, and this is all this thing as it stands today. There's no, you won't see any planting here, because of the previously approved limits of the pavement. There's some shrubs there. There's no larger trees for the amount of room to put a tree in here. That's
There's no plan for trees or plants anywhere in that parking lot or against the building.
yeah. As it stands, we need the full area to move tractor trailers around. And cars, so additional planting beds added to the building base.
Is there any difference between what services are being done with existing delays versus ones?
There's no changes. These bays being added will complement the existing service base to be doing all the services that you have in here. The only additional services are the car wash and the oil butler and other.
We're gonna relocate a alignment machine from its current location in the corner here where it doesn't have enough room to function properly to over here. That's the only difference. The rest of it.
I was just curious, based on Scott's point on noise, if there's noise at the existing bays, when there's in your new bays.
It's the same kind of work going on.
Again, the noise, just to clarify, that the neighbors brought up in the variance meeting was a result of mechanics looking for the vehicle in the lot and setting off the alarm, not necessarily noise coming from the shop.
There was also a vendor who comes on the weekends. Yeah, I was there for the meeting.
Yeah, he was talking about a paint vendor that comes on Saturday afternoons. We've asked that paint vendor to, because he has an inflatable, if you will. We've asked him to move, because usually it's out back toward the back fence. We've asked him to move that toward the building to minimize that noise.
Would
So
that go inside the building eventually, or you'll?
He doesn't work for us. He's subletted, to paint. So what you would probably hear is machines that he has to keep that inflatable tent, so that he can work. We've asked him to move it closer to us, so to away from the residents.
Now you're pushing the building back, which is essentially back in the same spot.
Say again.
Now that you're pushing the building back into the site, is he essentially going to be back in the same spot?
No. As far as the vendor, no, the vendor is going to move toward the existing building on Saturdays to put up his tent paint one person. And then one.
But is this happening in the rear of the building? Is this happening in the side?
It currently is happening in the rear of the building. It'll happen on the side of the building, the east side.
This parking lot over here. Corner of Last.
Yeah. On the side.
Close to the Tracy.
Yeah, correct.
So in that case, the building will act as an acoustical screen because of there'll be they'll be up in this little crotch in the building back here.
Oh, he's going to be back there.
And
I like that idea.
That's correct.
Hey, Cameron, can you catch that? Thank you. What's gonna be the policy about the mechanic doors on all sides of the building open when the weather gets warm?
So there's no air conditioning in this. You do leave the doors open during the summer.
Some days, we do have, quite a few fans, one big large fan on the ceiling plus, floor fans for the technicians. There are many times that the shop doors aren't even open at all in the summer unless it's 90+ degrees, they may open them. Those doors are facing east and west. And that'll remain the same.
Any questions?
Questions?
We had asked Scott Freeman about, from the Genesee Street side, and I brought a photo that kind of helps. I know the property line on the Genesee Street side really goes right to the corner of the building from where the fence is currently. But you can see the building there now from the sidewalk. And when we approved this, we didn't realize there would be parking happening there a lot, so that is kind of visible. Would it be possible, so we'd asked, to do a little bit of screening, because these trees that you planted already are gonna do a really good job on buffering the building from across the street and coming down the road. 'Cause you see your new ones here are growing well, those green giants.
Mhm.
Is it possible to start to infill this a little so you don't see that back building bump out from the road? Because it looks like there's room here unless you're doing something on this side. Not anything. 'Cause I think last time you said you needed that room for the pavement, but when I looked at the plan that was submitted, there is green space there, but I don't know what.
There's some stormwater in there, but I think there's
Yeah.
a little bit of room.
Because
There's
it's
some
really
emergency
only a
doors.
row of,
Yeah.
of arborvitae now, so if
Yeah.
you could continue that toward the building.
I'll
think that
defer
would
to,
block-
do you guys mind planting a couple more trees on the side there?
I don't think we would have an issue with that as long as it's not blocking any signage.
No, here, you could. I brought
Blocking
photos
any
of this
traffic.
house. So this is
So
what.
as long as it doesn't
Yeah.
impact operations, or any kind of signage, so
It doesn't block anything, but seeing the building.
So just planting. Stay with the sidewalks here. Would you
It's-
prefer it
it's
along the
right on-
building or?
Well, they'll grow, so to keep your building, I would keep it.
Yeah,
on right along the property line, like you did the others, just continue it.
You've got these arborvitae. Yeah,
And this is on the east face side.
Is the trees.
there's traces over there.
It's traces.
Probably like right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys operationally see any?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah. we can do that.
Yeah, we'll be amenable to that.
Yeah, I think if you just keep them going down the side, it'll block that
Mhm.
from the road too. And I mean, if you can, I mean, there is no place to plant on the back side, it's all paved, so really it's the only place we can do some screening every year, you should, at least from the public right away when you're on site.
How many spaces are you losing?
It's about 50 spaces, and that's mostly because of the, about 40, about 20 spaces back here that are existing. A lot of this is dry aisle, but then there's a bunch, that were originally planned to be close to the neighbors. And that's the turning radius that we need now.
And again, this changed because the focus here is service and not having 1,000 new cars to the parking lot. You have options for that.
The building or site plan?
It's anticipated that people will drive down, not to the car wash, but to that second sort of, that now people will drive there. We will do the auto wash.
So that's not for the public.
Okay,
Public will remain up here. This is just for mechanics. You know,
okay, so no one's gonna be driving.
No one from the public.
Customers gonna go in that building.
All right, just making sure, 'cause I remember we talked about the auto butler was specifically for the employees, but I knew where people drop their car off.
Yeah, so drop off occurs, this is the drop off here, customer pickup is here. So this will only be, you know, employees who bring the car to the car wash for that service, if every person requests that.
Needed to see necessary.
This lighting compliances. Ones are white as well. Building the overhead doors and kitchen.
This is what I see when I'm walking down the side. Whether it's an appearance of, or it is, it just looks bigger.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing in that. It might just be the color, it's reflective at night. So it's reflective. It's bright. I understand being on 5, it's a commercial corridor, you expect to see larger buildings, but from that view, I wouldn't expect to see that. But I would not see it.
I mean, with the addition of planting the side, it's gonna be reduced further, and then from the backside, you know, we're limited on planting, but, you know, as you can see, I mean, yes, that is daylight, you know, maybe a bright night, it is reflective, but I don't think, you know, moving forward with a different, you know, motif for the building, any change in material is going to be helpful, it's going to stick out more, you know, keeping what it is now may appear a little bit bigger, but ultimately the overall scale of the building will remain, you know, in scale. Once we change it, it's going to be much more obvious.
Well, from Salt Springs, that building were a earth tone color. It wouldn't be.
But from Genesee Street, it would stick out.
Like in the back of the building,
You can
from,
still
from
see
Genesee Street, that back wall, it's not going to be seen.
These are the views from Salt Springs, looking towards the building.
That's coming down the road.
I'll let Vince talk to where the building is and
From Salt Springs,
very, from the right away at Salt Springs.
there's more room for.
I mean, this is the existing back of the building as it is today. We're just adding another.
56 feet for the main service body, and then another 24 for the wash bay.
Two more spaces. in the trees, and there's something else in there.
This, they look the same height rather than any blocks that you see there.
Yes, there are options to change paint color or the sheen of the finish. On the panel.
Do you want to go through each of these things? Put your finger on.
Are you guys listening to what he's saying too?
No, I like.
Sorry, I missed it. I was over here.
Again, this is the back of the building, you know, we're adding 56 feet. And it's gonna look almost identical to that, so it's not prospectively. This may be coming towards you, but it's gonna blend in with the back of the building. Switching color or something like that, it's gonna pop out, I guess.
How about additional plantings against the building? Pull one row off. You're getting rid of 50 spaces. Get rid of a few more and put some plantings.
Again, right now we have two-way traffic between where the existing parking lot is and the building face. That would be a reduction of the traffic that we had back there, and we need to drop off the tractor trailer for the park.
But if you're bringing those spaces back, adding some room against the building.
Saying eliminate spaces to the south. We already moved their lane.
Right now, we're from the building point here to the current pavement edge is 24 feet, so you have a thoroughfare
Yes.
through here.
Keep that 24 feet, just eliminate 4 spaces. And this is, I'm just throwing that out as an option.
Yeah.
Since we've already given up quite a few spaces to achieve this project, I think we'd be more amenable to doing something as on the facade of the existing, even if it was as if it was a mural. I think it was that much of an issue. But
What perspective do you want to see from the picture? He's got 4 pictures on the next here. Are any of those match the perspective you want to see?
If you go to Salt Springs right now.
Oh, I know what you're saying. I'm saying that do you have a photo? I'm gonna go back forward. You can show.
Can you walk through those 4 pictures from behind?
That's what I was-
We'll see what.
So
So
about 258 feet away from the back of this house, you've got 229 Salt Springs Road. This is the building in here. I can walk around again with it.
Standing on the other side of the road, taking a photo on that.
yes.
Yeah.
We've seen that. So the photo on the bottom left. That's the view that I'm gonna say focus on. The bottom left, you're on the opposite side of the road. If you're on
Yep.
that sidewalk, say at night, that building is right. You bring it, you pull it
This
closer.
from there.
So I'm throwing out options, I'm throwing out options, plantings or plantings closer to the building.
Yeah.
Or something, and you clearly know, yeah. So if there's a way to treat that with the plantings and something else.
Even more room along the fence line for kids.
That would be existing that we have there. There's deciduous and evergreen. I mean, let me ask you this. This is the summer and winter condition, or this is a current condition?
It's like, the winter condition.
Yeah.
And I just echo the comments made at the ZBA and the things that I've heard. You guys are great neighbors. You're very attentive and thoughtful, concerning the neighbors back in the Salt Springs area. But the concern that I've heard from the 2 people that were at the ZBA meeting, and I've heard before last 4 years, relate to overall noise and the overall view. From the Salt Springs area, looking onto that. So we're asking for a more creative solution. And, you know, we obviously have some expertise, but I mean, we don't want to design your project for you. But we want to be attentive to the residents in the village and the comments that we make.
So, what I think I was asking is that if the issue is that it's sort of reflective, which makes it, when you shine light on it, and the lights in the parking lot, that they use a flatter sheen, either matte or flat or something that's less reflective, semi-gloss or gloss or which.
So could you do like a simple green screen on it, or vegetation, you know, put that imagery off the building, so you don't have to go through, you know, the arrow and paint and do something simple. Because it's a metal building, so you could attach it really easily with, you know, without a big heavy system.
Like a lattice work or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of products that are just wires or lattice that you could get vegetation growing up. And it only requires a small strip at the base.
We have to look at that. I caution on that now only because of the traffic and without, regardless of, it still needs to be buffered. We've got cars moving out there, we've got snow being plowed. So I just have some concerns on that, anything directly in the building. And right at maintenance point.
She's talking about something
Yeah,
Yeah, just like
6 inches on
the wires.
we'd have to
wires
discuss
talked about, you know,
Is it, is there something like that?
yeah, they're manufactured product. Oh, there's all the. And just pick up a pretty basic plan, not, you know, invasive and profits, makes it hard.
it gets extended out in front of the facade of the building, and in that wire grid, ivy or something, and bring itself up to the wall, separated from the skin of the building, by that stand off of 6 inches or so. And then it needs a minimal amount of area at the ground in order to move.
again, caution on that. I mean, there's limited evergreen vines that are
And
gonna
it
work.
wouldn't be evergreen, they have to be, you know,
But then you-
but you'd see it. I
You
mean,
still
if it
see the
was,
building at that point.
not really, if you chose wisteria, honeysuckle, it's very aggressive,
Yeah,
you know, you'd see how the brown
Well,
branches.
but again, this seems like a winter issue, not a summer issue, so.
But it would be brown, not white. That's what it's
Little offset.
I mean,
Even
it's an
if
option.
if it didn't have vines on it, you still have the trellis work in front of it. It could be a color other than the white to, work.
You want to draw.
I think it sounds like a great solution to this stretch of density. Versus losing spaces. Losing spaces.
Yeah, it could be.
You wanna paint them, how about the back wall?
Yeah, you can't do the sides because it will show.
Yeah,
I was gonna say,
I was just thinking back.
yeah, I mean, if the issue is just the issue is just the back wall, if you consider painting just the back wall a different color, because you wouldn't be able to see it when you get.
The view you'd be talking about would be more of the side view, would it not?
Because
It's directly at the back.
That's Salt Springs, that's that's the back.
That panel can come in any brown color that we want it to. So
Okay, nice earth tone. Yeah, that's what it's going colors.
Yeah, but you'd have to kind of do both those ones, so you see. See, there's a section here. You have to do the whole ocean, this whole back.
It's a small percentage. I don't see why that would be a problem to do them both.
If you want.
Well, it's really, it's gotta be something that's good for
So it's a first tone and you guys.
Paint for that back wall, or lattice work, or ladder paint, so it's nice with.
Mirror or.
I mean, you put a mural on it, and like.
Great.
The code enforcement officer.
Would the board be amenable to the removal of the deciduous trees along here and then we replace them with straight evergreens? I mean, you're talking about, again, aggressive vine,
Yeah.
but you know, these trees that are back there now have grown twice the size in the past 4 years. We can plant a whole new row of evergreens along that fence
The
line.
downside, I remember the conversation about why it turned out that it was one, because you're plowing there.
Yeah.
So if it's all evergreen, probably storing all the, you know, the snow in between on some of the deciduous helped.
Yeah.
And also because the houses behind it are 2-story, you're getting the bigger mass of the vegetation with the deciduous versus the conical evergreens earlier.
Yeah.
So there was reasons why we did that, because we were afraid they would be, you know, we don't get that much snow anymore like we used to, but.
Yeah.
Still, you need space to put your snow, and if it's all filled up with evergreen, you're not gonna get so much. And it wasn't a heavy line because you needed space. And I do think over time, you know, it's gonna look like those large trees will be fine. I think it's more, a lot of this is the sound, but nothing's gonna stop the sound except for sound. Something sound. We can, that's tough.
Well, you can do it if they,
Yeah,
if that sound was thinking that through and they have sound absorbing. Low
Material.
reflection and,
yeah, on the fence or somewhere.
Is the issue of sound coming from the shop, or is it the ancillary? As I mentioned, the vendor that closer to the fence, right? My understanding was, you know, that the issue with the sound wasn't the actual mechanics working in the shop, it was some of the other things.
No, what I heard was the vendor, if it's going into the minutes, that vendor's gonna be on that back corner. Yes.
Right, so in terms of sound, you know, proofing or lessening, you know, something like the lattice on the wall isn't, can help those areas as much as moving the vendor to the corner. Whereas from a visual perspective, I understand that. That or a paint color, a different panel, but you know, I'm not sure that the lattice plantings are going to make much difference in the sound. I could be
Let's
wrong.
look if we don't.
But just on those back walls, the ones that.
Yeah.
Well, and then push the back wall. It's like.
Yeah, anything that faces south.
Yeah.
Any wall
That
that
is
faces
just
south.
like a earthy brown or something like that.
That's something you're open to?
You don't want it too dark though, because it's gonna stand out like that brown. So it's gotta be gray. If it's dark, it stands out too.
That's what I'm
It has to be
thinking.
very
Brown.
like a golden brown. It's gonna disappear.
Something that's what I want. I wanted it from Salt Springs. I don't want to make that decision.
Exactly.
The pole lighting that you're removing. This is the two poles that you have, how far are those poles from the existing building?
So those poles were here and here. So they were about, yeah, it was 18 plus the 20 driveway.
And how far are the next year's poles, once you do this expansion, how far are the next? I'm not trying to help yourself.
Yeah.
But we just make a point. Is that the elevation on the building is less than this here. You've got the two pole lights that probably are very reflective here. It may, that's just another point you could think of, is that now those pole lights are coming off and the distance from the pole lights to the building is greater. It may not be as reflective.
Well, like your problem is going to be the building lights and shutting down and waiting.
With 14 feet, but last month, and those aren't 24-hour lights like the pole lights, those, right?
Dusty line.
Yeah. So they said we could go.
We can control that as well. Everything's dimmable.
There are no building lights right now.
On the rear of the building now.
We're just doing it now to take the place of those poles.
Yes. You've got the drive aisle there, and then the tractor trailer comes in pretty early in the morning.
If they were to paint, would they have to paint just like, like above the roof line to, on the south face?
My biggest concern is that biggest concern is the southernmost wall. So that's just going to be a big white wall as you kind of see today. I think it'd be a good move to do anything from the rear, if you're gonna do it a different color, anything south facing. So go 3 inches to your left. That way, left, that one as well. Because what you just had your hand on is the Autobahn. That's what I'm really focused on. If you were to do anything south facing that is new construction, let me say that. That's all I'm trying to address is I want that to disappear as best we can from Salt Springs.
What I'm looking at is once the roof line is right above the auto body line, so it's stripped, because you technically be able to see that white strip.
Yeah,
It's already on the wall.
that would all be,
Anything south facing
Same color.
that is new construction.
I mean, this is roughly a brown here. I mean, this would be basically, you've got a white building and a brown back now. So that's what the building's gonna look like.
Do you think that would hide? Do you think that would make the building disappear from Salt Springs?
I don't think it will, but
Come up with something that makes it less obvious than the giant white building from Salt Springs.
okay.
I don't want to get.
So I'm hearing that 4 years ago or whatever, it got approved, the fuel to sprinkle deciduous in along that fence line was done to screen the upward views from the 2-story houses on Salt Springs. And that is, those deciduous trees are what is generating your concern of the views that winter see from Salt Springs. So we're willing to go back and revisit that decision of 4 years ago and replace those deciduous trees with evergreens, if the board would be amenable to that as a solution.
But I think in doing that, you're just going to kill them with snow.
Well, we've already demonstrated that if they die, we'll replace them. There's one that's dead now, and they've contracted to replace it, not with just what had been originally planted, but with one that matches the size that the other adjacent trees have grown to. So they're getting a 12-foot tree instead of what was a 6-foot tree 4 years ago. So
How are you handling the snow back there now? How do you work around the trees?
right.
Are you able to just leave some in the parking lot, or you need?
I mean, right now is a good time if you wanna visit. They've got everything pushed up there now. They're not terribly on the trees.
Yeah, we spread out snow from all different areas and try to spread it out. I try to keep it away. I'm actually the one that plows. I try to keep it in between the trees,
Yeah.
or in the corners as much as I can. We do have to spread it out. It does get tight back
Yeah, I remember, talking, trying to make it so you could do that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to make it worse, because the thing is, long term, you're gonna want those trees with the upper story. If you look at the ones that are there now, they are, the existing trees are blocking. But it's just we have to wait, that's the problem, it takes time.
I think that the owner followed through on the commitments 4 years ago to plant every tree they were asked to, and they agreed to at that time. So, they're willing to change now if you think that would solve your concerns, because it does sound like it's a winter view concern from Salt Springs, not a summer concern. And then I think the sound issue is separate. And we can address most of that operationally by moving the vendor off to that crotch facing Tracy and instructing their salesmen and whatnot not to leave the car alarms on flying the car in the parking lot. Those are no dollar cost changes on this. And pace is certainly a no dollar cost change. The trellis is not.
I mean,
Yeah, paint, if you want to paint the south facing wall in different colors, that's.
Ryan, did you say that those panels come in different colors anyway?
They come in any color you want.
So you can, then you don't have to paint the definition.
There might be a small upcharge because of not a stand manufacturer stand, but I think there's probably something in that palette that we can find.
Music, I just think that it's just the nature of the piece. And we have to be sensitive. After you want, it's somebody. Air wrenches.
We were doing, yeah, and don't think that the person publicly, the coming in, the vendor.
What I'm saying, you're coming closer
Right,
to that back area.
yeah, but I just wondered if they're hearing that,
Mhm.
doesn't sound like,
No, I don't.
you never had complaints that.
The building's still 200 feet away. So you lose half the decibel every, 60 feet you go to some degree. So again, it is coming closer, but it's not coming drastically closer. You're still a bit away.
Unless the doors are open, yeah, you're gonna hear it, it's one of the building. If the doors are open.
Just the sun face. And yes.
Or just change out everything. That'll really do it. You have to look around and just the green giant and so that they grow really fast. Because I think at certain points, the building will look strange, from their property, you look at a corner and you see two colors. Unless there's some way to transition it from the other wall, it's gonna be bad. When you're on the Honda property.
But can you see, well, I mean,
Yeah.
nobody goes back there, right?
Well, people live behind there.
There was also a white wall before the original building.
It's just
Same
that it's
condition.
closer.
Yeah, I understand.
Because it definitely does look different to your eye, that photograph.
Mhm.
You can see from these photos.
They go
You can feel like it's really close. Well, it feels worse when you look versus the photograph. But, I mean, if it's the issue of just blocking it out, how many trees do you have there? I don't remember along the back that aren't evergreen. Solid. It'll look just like trees. And these are growing fast because they're green giant. These are green giant arborvitae, so they are already above the fence.
So there's 6 deciduous back there now.
So you would replace.
We would
those
replace
there.
sticks with 6 evergreens.
But you have to realize it takes time for the plants, but in time.
See that.
So that's just a wall.
Yeah.
How far apart is it?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
When you redo the
Yeah.
plan, if you think it should be a few more in there that you can work around, that would be the best, so he's getting more of like a hedge.
Yeah. We do have right here, we have a little bit of room. We do have a large clump in that corner.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's
it's
respect.
sort of the view is across that whole fence.
I will say, what we're talking about, either one of those solutions or swapping those out inside is not like the sort of.
If they change the trees, would you still want, but kept the color, would you want it to be a flat or sheen? So like flat ornaments rather than something just like a semi gloss that would light the bounce all the
Is
way.
it shiny camel now, like a shiny finish? I can't remember.
It's got a little sheen to it, yes, it's not flat. Existing.
Because that's what creates the, it doesn't just hit,
Yeah, the
the light
reflection.
doesn't just hit it and die, it bounces off, which is what makes it sort of glow.
So there may be an embossed panel available as well in the same color, which would have tendency to scatter that light a little bit more and not reflect it as much.
So you keep the same color, and the building is sort of mixed colors, but it doesn't have the light hits it and then it bounces back to here. It's not retro reflective, I guess.
That sounds good.
If you're amenable to the change in texture with going to flat finish, we can get a sample and have that next time instead of going with the paint color change.
That would be.
Take out some, put a flashlight.
The owner just reminded me that if we change the color of the building, we gotta kick it up to Honda to bless it and whatnot. And so, but I think we might be able to change the sheen or get an embossed panel to scatter that light a little bit more without changing the color of it, in combination with changing those deciduous over to the green giants.
Yeah.
Facing the back of the property.
Honda's gonna come back with Honda Blue.
Yeah. The blue wave back there.
I'm thinking it's a combination of those two.
And so people want to make it flat and the trees.
everything. And then we bring guides in the front as well.
Yeah.
And to see the light impressions. or
Yeah.
the clean lighting. Photometrics, usually. Did you do that too on your plan? You had originally a photometrics, or just added?
Yep.
Great question.
It's right back.
Yeah. No, okay. Good to know.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jason, next month. These changes are.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
How about you give us some conditional approval tonight instead?
To bring the whole plan. I think it's good feedback. It's thank you for calling.
Vincent, Mike, can you go give this to Vincent, please? Thank you.
Yeah, it's not gonna be much. Across the street.
So there's been a lot of. We've been in a few times, we did some piecemeal approvals. And approvals of this and that. I'm a bit concerned that we're getting scattered here, so if you wouldn't mind. Give us history of how we ended up here at the plaza, because you've been here forever we want. Where did this fit into the approvals of the plaza?
The current restaurant design. Well, as far as the front elevation facing Genesee Street, there's been actually fairly minor changes for the most part. Being the lighting changes, and then also we had the cafe windows or the patio windows that were moved up on the side. So those windows have become went from doors to windows. This area was full height windows, doors, and now they're, let's say, half height counter chain. So that we're not encroaching out on the center. And then really, I mean, other than that, you know, we've got some planters on the front. 8-inch, 9-inch deep planters under the windows here.
Are those attached to the building, or are they on the soil?
They'll be attached to the building, so they're not gonna necessarily sit on the ground. And then we had some decorative lighting stone on the front. Some comments from the last meeting, I think this person eliminated that. And we've actually just gone with some of the plaza lighting. That would be in the overhang of the canopy, if you will, it's overhanging the windows. The original design, I mean, all the other, the roof elements here, the structure of the entry, from the pylon of the top of the plaza, you know, all the awnings, all that is pretty much stayed the same. Nothing's changed there. We added, from comments from the last meeting, we added a gate here to that little alleyway on the side of the building over here. Just to restrict the view and kind of control access. But beyond that, that's really from the original approvals for the plaza overall, it's always changed.
Just let me backtrack to you so that you can clear mind. I believe what we had first, and for your senior, right, you gave me the idea, and then you had the first tenant. That I'm trying to kind of go back through the approvals, because I too was confused when I keep seeing the same site plan with minor modifications, like what are we really here for tonight? So the way I remember it, and I had Karen pull out one of the plans as well. It started out when you came to us with some ideas, you got involved, this is the design that you came together with. Then you had a single tenant, Alloy, which we approved his space only. And then later he came in for a sign. At the same time, when the sign was being approved, and this was done virtually, right? But maybe Joe's son was virtually. We approved this architectural plan, which was, we received in April 29th of 24. And this was the only other file that was approved, which to your point, most everything is very similar to what was here. Question I had was, when I look at what we're submitted today, what are you asking us for? Because we talked about last week or last month that the patio area is future and potentially couldn't be built and we get Southwest letter back, which it cannot be built in the right of way. So that should be removed from this approval. So what are you really looking for from us today? I'm not sure.
We're gonna start building the restaurant. So whatever you guys need to approve, but I think it was more the exterior, right? What we're changing on the front.
And some of the site plans, you had some
Well,
changes.
I think that was more of a clarification for your questions about the smoking areas that were from the previous tenants and wanting to have no smoking signs, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
And so we kind of clarified some of that and I added some to help.
Yeah, I think that's good. So that means to me that this is an amendment to the original site plan approval. Now, the site plan approval, did the meeting minutes say, original, the one we just looked at, that the restaurant, I believe it said this whole restaurant component of it was not approved. It was only approved in concept. So that's the part we have to find, Scott.
That's what I have in my notes from May.
Yeah, what did yours say?
And this is my chicken scratch. It's really non-efficient. Let's see. There's a series of points referencing shrubs, bollards, some of these things.
When we were looking at.
The exception of restaurant to be separate site plan
Right.
and signage applications. So anything that we had discussed in those meetings leading up to any approvals they've given were unrelated to the restaurant. It's completely separate.
Yeah. So this is an amendment to that approval. That's how I'm seeing it. Do you agree, Karen?
I thought the restaurant itself was being handled separately, so
But the exterior.
no, the site plan, you use that vehicle to approve the business and how it's set up, like we've done for the other businesses.
Which I think.
That's what they're here for.
Okay, so that. Those other tenants. Yeah, first. So this is now for the restaurant and its surrounding area. Okay.
Yeah, so
I'm clear. So. I think we should just go through with our questions that you've presented to us a lot and just clarify things.
it's not an amendment to the other.
What we're doing is completely
So it'll
separate.
be separate then, if that's what you think. So we should draw the line at the point, I guess it's where the dash line is. Is that where the tenant space ends and the restaurant begins? So there's this that dashed line that extends from that side entry corridor, we'll say from there. The building from there forward, and then just confirm the site film from there as well. Okay, good. So I have a couple of questions that are really came from last time's meeting. So you did add that 6-foot decorative gate. And you did show an elevation, kind of a line work for it.
Indicate the gate, yeah.
What is, usually we would have a detail as part of it, or it could go as part of the building permit set, but what is, could you describe that?
So the intent is basically just, a darker natural material, dark bronze, essentially, we're gonna plant 2 posts, on the other side of the sidewalk within the property, and then have 2 gates that would hinge off of those posts. So, the concrete would be continuous just as it is today. And then the actual structure of the gates, I would see, a dark bronze metal, maybe a wood slat, a dark wood slat infill, something that kind of makes it solid so you can't see through there. And as I think I showed, a 6-foot, high gate so that you can't see over it.
Okay, that's fine. So that would be in your architectural.
Yeah,
stuff?
we would show that in the permit drawings, yeah.
Last time we talked about painting of the backside of the building. Or any place you can see existing building that isn't going to be changed. Yeah, I know you mentioned that last time in our notes.
Those are obviously larger. Part of the property.
Yeah, I want to just confirm that for the rest of it, because there are some things here, I think, that are different, definitely. So that's why I do think there's a little bit of an amendment to the site plan. Like the dumpster area, they changed from our plan, which I think is a good change, but it isn't the same as it was.
But it's still in progress, so the construction's still going on, so
And
the
we have to-
painting on the back of the
Yeah.
building still is to be done.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that it's gonna be done and if part of that other, we won't make it part of this one. But is this, did we know in that, minutes that we were painting, I guess? Do you remember if that was in the approval for, I don't think it was in the approval for the last one because I've read it recently, so.
I didn't review it. I know it was discussed. I thought it was part of, it may not have been explicitly stated in the. Was it in the minutes from May that you asked for?
Approval, or is that just a? Yeah, so what, I know it wasn't approved. Neither was the new configuration of the dumpster. So we should revise that, if that's what they're gonna do. So do you know what color the paint is going to be?
It's the same as the other, it's the rest of the concrete block that was painted and the ethos that was painted.
Same as
Same
that's
color,
that beige.
that kind of
color?
beige color,
Okay.
yeah.
Just so we have it on record. Okay. The other question I had was the new fascia and canopy finish that it says extent of existing. So you're carrying this fascia all the way across. And it goes to here. Is that what you mean? When you pull, but it's pointing to here. That's what I was.
It's the tenant on the end, the way their storefront and all their finishes are, they can't redo that work right now until that tenant changes out because it's so disruptive.
Yeah.
So it's kind of when that tenant leaves, they'll be able to do that outside work that's there with the glass.
So does that mean, how do you end the brown? Or you paint it? What are you gonna do? I think it was
The metal work, it's done now, so you can see it. You can see how that transition is.
So basically, you're saying they can't do the windows.
Right.
So
Yeah,
those
storefront,
mirrored
all that
windows
glass,
will
yeah.
remain.
That'll be a future when that tenant.
With all, would that be with all tenants?
No, just
No.
the one on the end there.
No, that's the only one.
The hair salon you can do.
Yeah, everybody else is already.
Everybody get new storefronts. It's in the process right now.
Yeah, but so this is the back of that one, the mirrored window.
That's right, yeah.
So you're saying though that this all can't come out because it's so, it's,
Yeah,
They're
because
in there.
they get tear apart all the walls, the drywall finish.
They got, all the walls are attached
yeah,
to
'cause
the
it looks like
storefront.
they have a wall. And
It's attached right to the
Find a
storefront.
creative solution that may be less disruptive. It shouldn't remain that way until indefinitely, until leaves.
Yeah, really, that's
Maybe not in the future, maybe, but right now they signed a 15-year lease. So. I mean, I have to tear up the walls apart.
Or finding a creative solution to
To cover
address
it.
it.
you think the-
Yeah.
Down the road, yeah, we can possibly do something down the road.
They're gonna be suing them.
They're not getting light in here right now because they have a wall there, is that correct?
Yes. They're all wall.
So why don't we?
All the way across the whole back is all wall.
Yeah, I can actually see something like a wall board on the inside through the glass.
There's one doorway where you can see inside.
Yeah.
Other than that, everything's got a wall in front of it.
So can it be covered somehow temporarily if they're not getting light anyway?
Well, what's specifically, what's the?
You're looking at the side door.
Color of everything?
So it looks like it was forgotten from the seventies back then. It wasn't.
Joe, what if we did just painted the aluminum, a dark bronze paint?
We could do that.
You could do it, just paint
So
the
it's like
framework,
the
the framework around the windows.
Is that addressing the mirror?
Well, the mirror part, I mean, I don't know what you do about that. I mean, it's glass. Is that,
So you're-
that's probably all film when it's on the inside.
It's probably a film, so you just put one on the other.
I don't know, it looks like some kind of reflective
Yeah,
material.
because it's on the south side of the building, so they get all that direct sunlight. So,
That must be why they put the wall on. So like long term, it doesn't make sense, to have like smaller windows.
but I think, I mean, the brickwork is the same. That's all through there. That's consistent with the rest of the plaza. We could do paint that silver aluminum, the dark bronze that would match the other storefront that's going in now.
I think you kind of have to, because it looks so bad from the
Mhm.
front corner to there between the other storefronts.
You can't be.
Well, the rear, that rear of the building's still gonna get painted and work. There's a work that's gotta be done.
Even put a panel over it. Yeah, creative solution.
Well, the problem is, I'm worried about if you put a wall in front of that glass, you're gonna get condensation inside that cavity. And then it's gonna freeze and it's gonna crack and it's gonna cause more of a problem. And that water's gonna get inside.
So maybe it's not near tight.
What's that?
Maybe it's not something that is sealed to it.
Like
And again,
new version or
I'm not-
something. We're
yeah.
just thinking of stuff, but.
I'm not.
It's your job.
Loose steel stone frame
Yeah.
over it.
Inside, the mechanicals on the inside.
Electric.
Booths. But if you did
You're saying on the outside.
a panel of some sort on the outside that is not sealed to it, so it's not going to trap.
There's something that we can figure out a way down the road. I can come up with some ideas. I gotta make sure that it's not gonna crack that glass and cause a lot of problems. That's what. I agree with you. I wanna change it, but how you change it without disturbing that tenant? If that tenant was leaving, it'd be a non-issue.
Right.
But they're there. you know.
We're not talking to the tenant, we're talking to the landlord. So I'm
I-
just saying.
But it's tied in with the tenant.
But you can figure that out somehow.
Yeah.
I'm sure you have it in your lease that says landlord has the right to come in and do a specific amount of work.
What?
Landlord has the right to come in and do a specific amount of work if something happens, one way or the other. We're just saying, address that before this.
If there's a wall there,
Knock down the wall.
can't you work on the other side of the wall in the summertime?
Yes.
They need access from the inside.
No?
I was honestly, I was really thinking about the same thing because I was thinking about dressing up that back wall.
Yeah.
We got that wood looking ceiling that we put on the ceilings, and so I was thinking maybe dressing that up with a wood look where the windows are. I was thinking of something creative, like you guys are thinking about it right now.
Some sort of manufactured panel product you can cover.
I'm gonna have to figure something
Out
out.
from the outside, it doesn't have to be sealed.
Well, is it right? Could it be a different colored film on the outside?
Well, I think paint of the frames we can match the color exactly to the new anodized frames that we put in. So we can start out with that and see how that looks, and then see if we can, we'll do that in the spring. We still have quite a bit of painting to do. We got the other side of the building to paint yet, which we haven't done yet.
And that's the frames, what are you doing about the nerve pads?
I don't know, just, like I said, this,
And again, you're
The
allowed
thought
to bring it
process-
down.
I've been thinking about it, but I thought, I was gonna do it because I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You know, but it's something down the road. It's not gonna be like next week. I gotta figure it out.
Maybe not next week, but as you're doing construction, as part of this project and this site plan.
We can
that'll be
eventually, yes,
addressed.
definitely
We'll
address
come
it.
back and propose something. It's not for us. We're a lot more creative than I am. And again, it's your project. You should want that to look new. and awesome.
I've been thinking about, that's why I
So
said,
it's going to from every other.
and what you're saying right now, I already thought about. I already thought about, how am I gonna make this look better? Cause I'm not happy with it, but he's a tenant and I can't disrupt it. So we're doing everything else. We're even putting all new windows in with them staying in place, so. I mean, they're gonna get new windows in the middle of the winter, so that's gonna be fun. But again, I'm gonna do it. Gonna get
That tenant's going to get new windows in the middle of it.
right where their entryway is.
On the
Sidewalks and the.
So you're already gonna be in the tenant space during the winter.
Yeah, but there's no walls.
No wall there.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's new storefront.
You guys will figure it out.
Yeah.
Do something with that as part of this group.
Yep.
Present something.
It's in my head, trying to figure it out.
One other color question, you had charging of that existing retaining wall that's around the property.
Block wall.
Block wall.
Yeah.
whatever it is. Do you know what color that's being charged? Or is it just?
I was thinking about doing it the same color as the face, the driver color.
Okay,
And
so like that.
there was some options I'm looking at right now.
Okay.
There's even, I'm gonna call it Z brick for now. There's a possibility, but the grade goes all over the place. I was trying to figure out
I would.
how to make it look straight and it wouldn't look good. So if I barge it and paint it, I think
Yeah.
it'll look a lot better.
Yeah, I agree. The dumpster enclosure, it says, and we talked about this last meeting, you're gonna put 4 in here, it looks like. Because last meeting you said you might put 2 over there, 2 over here, but now we talked about all 4 here.
Well, I think,
Instead
yeah,
of over there.
I mean, that's kind of stayed the same. It's just an allocation of
Yeah,
which tenant is using these, and those are only, 4 to 6 yard dumpsters. So
Yeah.
the restaurant tenant up in front is gonna be using primarily that
Yeah.
corral in the back.
but you took the ones out of here.
Well, those
The-
will be
these are
used by the
Okay.
smaller tenants.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the question again here, I think that's fine, but it said to be used, it's existing. And it looks, it's got those green slats, in the chain link fence. It looks pretty rough.
Yeah, those
What's
are
that?
replaced.
The
The slats?
dumpster enclosure,
Those green
Well,
slats.
we're gonna redo them. Once we get all the tenants to come in, we gotta see who's gonna need dumpsters. Right now, we know the restaurants
yeah.
needs dumpsters. Some of these other tenants that are in there, they don't really need a
So what are you
dumpster.
gonna do with that right there?
Well, I think we can
For this
replace those
approval.
slats, and do probably like a dark bronze slat that
Yeah.
matches the color scheme of the plaza.
They've got like,
Yeah, bronze.
they got like a vinyl bronze, fencing that, I'll call it fencing, that's maybe that,
So you're gonna take that chain link down? and-
maybe we can, I gotta talk
Or
to
you're
my
gonna put
fencing
the-
guy once I get all my tenants in.
Well, you gotta tell us now though, because we have to approve it.
That we're not gonna do
Not
anything till you
today,
get approval. I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
What I'm saying,
That's why
can't wait
this
till
is
you have
what's,
your tenants in.
that's what you were
You need to
saying,
make the approval before you put the tenants
so you know. what-
right now, we're not doing anything with it, so.
in. Neither are we.
Yeah.
But we can't make a decision on the overall site.
Right, we're not gonna do anything without your approval.
Correct, but we can't make a decision and give you final site plan approval until we know what's going to be there.
Propose.
At least
Well, we'll come up
propose
with
it,
something.
and if it changes, you can always come back.
I would say let's propose doing the dark bronze slat to replace, new,
So you have to show
replace the
that.
old.
Yeah, I think that'll look nice.
And that, at least at this
Cause
point.
we're
that-
using that even for, other applications.
Yeah.
Looks clean and neat.
It looks like you got a little spot you found for some plants in here to screen it.
Good,
It
I
says
appreciate that.
That was your.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
The citrus green screen,
Yes.
you probably just spec it out, like trivet, trivet is
Okay,
your
yeah,
deciduous
sure.
screen, and they can keep it tight. Won't grow all over the place. One of the questions I hear about how you're using curb stops along the sidewalk near the restaurant. Are you not worried about the rest of it because it has a deeper sidewalk, but is there any concerns over safety or them hitting anything? Like your columns, because you have your columns here and a car could technically hit it.
Mhm. I
So,
mean, primarily our concern was just seating and people potentially sitting there because we've made the sidewalk deep enough now that we could potentially maybe put a couple tables out there. So we wanted to help,
yeah,
you know.
no, I get it, but I just also looked,
In the
when I was
balance.
looking at it today, they could hit those columns. So,
Well, no, we're putting stops in.
But you remove those stops in the winter. Wow.
no, but.
No,
they're
but
not
right
show-
now-
but
right
the
now,
stops aren't
we're
showing.
gonna- Parking to get reconfigured.
No, but I'm saying on the proposed planning, like what you're gonna do when you're all done.
This is gonna be concrete.
So you are gonna have them, so
Yeah,
just
they're
show
gonna be-
them on
They're
every
gonna be
space.
wheel stops.
They're permanent.
Yeah. Well, no, you can take them up. They go down with a spike and you can take them out in the winter.
Stops, but you just said you're gonna take them off in the winter.
No, I didn't say that. I said we're gonna put wheel stops in.
You just said the word.
You can take them out if you want.
Right, but either they're permanent or they're not, because if they're not there, someone can hit those columns. So if they're permanent, I want to put it in as permanent. If you're saying the plow guy is going to lift each one individually before he
No,
plows, they call
no, they take them out in the winter.
So if they're being removed in the winter, then we have an issue with the columns possibly being hit.
I'm just bringing it to their attention, like if it happens, it has to be fixed. Right.
Well,
And, like John said, they discussed just in the series, you're talking about hours and
Yeah,
something,
I
notes.
think that was the.
But this is what's proposed,
Because it is a deeper, the problem is that there's no curve, it's flat,
right?
so, but because it was so narrow in that area.
We were gonna put planters at one point and you guys didn't like that, so we took the planters out.
You can put the planters between, but now that we're gonna do your seating, you can't do seating. So you're gonna have to seating outside. So
I
the-
prefer the curve stops just there.
Me too, but
Curve stops all the way down.
you have to walk over.
Yeah, and it just makes it seem sort of like, like it's, like we're fortifying the place a little bit, it's going to be somewhat easy to move around.
The other question I had was, do you think you'll label the spaces in front of this area like compact? Because even though these are typical spaces, you're 2 foot in. So you really only have, the 16-foot space. And like a Suburban is 19 feet long. And I'm just worried that someone could hit the car coming in this way. But you could label these first few compacts, I guess.
Well, the reason for pushing the curb stops out is because that's where the wheel stops and then the
Yes.
the
2
bumpers
foot
come
over.
extend forward at 18 or 24 inches, so we don't want them into the sidewalk area.
Yeah, so my car, I have a small Honda CRV, so it's a 2 foot overhang when you hit the wheel stop would hit the wheel. So you're right there at the edge of sidewalk with a small car. And my car is 15.5 feet long and you have 16 feet from that wheel stop back. So if it's a Suburban, there's plenty of room here. It's 27-foot aisle, but when people pull in and out, that's where the problem is. Your car could be sticking out over there. So you might want to just point out, you might want a few compact spots just at the entrance and the rest don't matter. But just so you know.
The extended cab pickup trucks with the.
Right, if somebody tried to park there.
Yeah. Go
Because
park it
before people used to hang right over to the building, you'd like squeeze in between.
Make it a DSA.
Okay. Yeah.
What? DSA. Designated smoking area.
There you go, because this one says, no.
I should have thought that.
This one says no. You got your posted sign. All right, then as far as, so that's sheet SP1. And you answered my question of when those bronze storefronts will be done. They're happy with it. I have stuff here, but I don't think it's worth talking about right now. You just take this out of the set. Because you can't do this work
Oh,
according
right,
to.
and that's why I kind of,
Yeah.
at the time, I was like, I kind of boxed it
Yeah,
out.
but
and said
even
phase
here,
two.
you're in the right of way. You have a very small area. You can see that in your survey. kind of a very, very small area that you're not. The only place you're not in the right of way is, there's your, right here. The rest of this is all your buildings in the right of way. So there's plenty of box. So you can't, you showed removing sidewalks here. You can't remove these sidewalks because these are the connecting sidewalks to the rest of.
Yeah, we're not removing.
It says, I'm sorry, it says two of them to remove.
Oh, the base too.
So these are being removed here, this.
Oh, that one, yeah, that
And
goes
then
out.
this area here, you're using, it looks like you're using for, you're probably using the sidewalk for seating,
No, we're not. Yeah, that's it's on through. Yeah,
but I mean now. Because if you can't use the space from here over, you can use that little strip here,
Mhm.
you could technically use this. I don't think I put those planter box in there, and you can go on in any sitting next to the sidewalk, that would be the place to do it. Because what's the point of the planter box?
I think it's just to add some kind of a little buffer. You know, and have the rain coming out from the windowsill.
Yeah, he explained it to me too, like I was looking at, it's not a detail, but it's a photo.
Yeah.
So if this is this window, these are these opening, they look just like this with these mullions. How does it work? Is this a shelf? Or is this just a window? Because I know there's seating like this on the inside. What happens outside? Because I don't have a cross section the other way.
So there's one of the plans there shows it, but there's gonna be a frame, if you will, that goes up and over the window, so it's a box out. So let's say, yeah, exactly, yeah, so it's 12 by 12, 12 wide, 12 deep, and then it'll come up and over and
What
back
is
down. It's gonna be, it'll be framed, you know, a detail frame, and then it'll have like a stone there on it. It's calling it.
Can that be brick like this? Because we were saying we didn't want to have yet another material. Can it be
Yeah.
like base brick? Or it would have to be like panel like it is now.
If we did brick, it would have to be like that thin veneer brick. We couldn't do a full brick.
Would it look like this brick?
It would probably be similar. I don't think it would match it exactly, but you probably can't match that even with full brick exactly.
You have to show us what you get. So,
Yeah.
but we didn't want this to be like a contemporary piece. We were trying to keep it, remember, we're trying to keep the small thing. Like it, fairly like it was. I mean, we don't care if you add glass detail, mullions inside this big detail, you know, because I was wondering, with all this interest, you're not really showing an elevation,
Mhm.
but you really want those to be just big glass. Or are you
Yeah.
keeping those?
Yeah, so I mean, this is just
You're
a
all keeping the
presentation.
wood,
These are all staying. Nothing's changing other than, you know, painting them.
but you make that wood panel remains.
It's all staying, yeah.
So I would say either make this brick or make it all that painted. So if we don't want a stone material brought into this, his idea is keep it brick throughout.
I mean, I would think if we were to do that, it probably would be brick rather than the wood, just to offer a little contrast.
I think brick would be good if you do it. You got it here, and here, and that.
Mhm.
Even if it's slightly different,
Mhm.
it's still gonna be the same. And so the plants I'm seeing, are they on the outside or are they on the inside?
Those
This
would
right
be,
Because it looks like in this photo of the window, like you're sitting right next to it, and you can reach out. if you want.
yeah, I mean, that should be kind of almost counter between bar height and counter height. So like 40, or I'm sorry, 38 or 9 inches.
The existing cell in the front,
What's that?
the existing cell,
It's just, it should be a little above
it's
it.
like 32 inches. Front
Or
cell,
it's right at it, sorry. Yeah.
it's 32, the existing,
32.
Same as
the existing.
All right. So these are things we need like details, like, but more than just a picture or just a sheet of what it is, so you can refer to it. And I'm trying to see if I can get a picture from the front. So the question I had was, how are you, can you live with seating stretched across the front of this building in that building, this side of the building, because you don't have that front area
I
there.
don't know if there's enough room there.
Well, you can kind of do it what, like Bear does, that's on the right of it, and small tables along the things.
Yeah, 'cause I think that sidewalk, well, I think as you saw, the planting bed is trapezoid.
Well, you can fill that planting bed in.
You've got
Yeah,
sidewalks.
here.
5 feet.
This bed that's the early now.
Mhm.
That's a pretty green. That's what you're talking about. So you could just have bought her brick and something like budding. That's something.
Yeah, I think, down by the front entrance. That's the edge of that sidewalk isn't parallel with the front of the road, so it's narrower as you get down to the east. I think that sidewalk's 5 foot width. So
Yeah,
we probably
so-
have anywhere from 6 to 7 feet.
Yeah, is it 16? Right here. It's not gonna be- yeah. This.
That's 8 or 9 feet from the building to the new.
This is supposed to be 6 foot sidewalk and then plus the building. Three, right? No, it's, so let's say 6. Yeah. Oops. It's a little bit small. Yeah, 5 feet here, that means. But technically. You can throw that in. See, it's 2.7 feet this way. But this sidewalk's the main thoroughfare. This is just a stone shelf.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
right.
continue. So it's gonna be really tight. But according to that side of the letter, there's no work can happen.
Yeah, one of my questions was, is there like some sort of a variance or something that we could go for? To work in that right away.
The state,
County.
Well, the county said it's a state right away. Yeah.
so you have to get a state permit.
So you have to go, it's not without that. We can't improve anything outside that.
Or they
Yeah.
Charge you a, what do they call it, a
The use fee,
use.
and that's why we're kind of approaching that as a.
Yeah. So you
future.
just have to take it out of this approval set, but I could share my comments with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to take the time now, but. I mean, it's nice to have the space, but unfortunately,
Mhm.
I knew that's what it is.
What did the village do? Like put the sign up in out in the yard there.
Which one?
There's a welcome to the village of Fayetteville sign right in the front.
Right here.
Yeah. Wonder what.
I got a room for it.
Yeah.
Did you get a permit?
Yeah.
It's really good. DPW about it, right?
We'll have to follow that.
Yeah.
Backtrack and see.
Yeah. You know, the
Sure.
municipalities. So I guess for us tonight, this is really comments, and then what we'll be looking for, so we give you an approval is kind of like we're talking to the applicant before you, we made the details and
So you want to see construction details of
Well-
what the front is gonna look like?
we want to see, like you did here, where it's actually a rendering of all the different, the components of it. So right now, we're looking at this one, what we approved, it has, probably pretty close, but you have the door, so you have to change that. And you have, we basically do a conceptual approval of the architecture, and we have cut sheets of the materials you're using.
Mhm.
That's what we need for our approval. Then when you go to see Mike, that's when you have all the details.
Okay. I mean, really, the only thing that's changing is the bottom of that window's coming up 2 feet, 2.5 feet, and putting a gate there.
Yeah, and we also want to know if these are staying the same, what does that window look like? Is it, we like to have the details, to it, but
Yeah.
it's not really using it. Photo. It doesn't help us.
Something,
Yeah.
if we apply for a cafe permit, we utilize that right. That's not.
You have to do it though through the state.
The state.
Right, so we can't approve that.
Sure.
But because we had to wait for that letter to come back to say, the county said it's a state highway.
It's
right away.
not the sidewalk on Genesee, the sidewalk on, of course.
No, everything on South Spring Street. That's a state right of way. Your building pretty much is right on the right of way, which is pretty typical.
Salt Springs actually is a county, it's a county road.
It is, and but they're saying it has state jurisdiction. So you would have to go through the state process in order to get a permit for that, but I don't know if you can, but I think it's worth trying.
And this isn't just a Fayetteville thing.
No, it's
It goes
everywhere.
all the way down.
Oh, no, I really, I understand.
Yeah.
Apply for our favorite.
In the city, yes, for sure. I don't know. I know they tried. Well, yeah, I don't know what came of it, do you?
Money.
It was money you have to pay. Just have to pay monthly.
What was it for?
Yeah.
What was it for? Crew?
Yeah. So I mean, that's fine for when you're ready. Once you get their approval, then you just have to come back to us to say that's what we're doing. And we still have some oversight to it, but we can't even comment.
Yeah.
Because it's not their jurisdiction.
Understand.
So what we'll be looking for the next submittal is a full package of what you're really gonna build. Total plaza. You could break it into two, or we could do one. We could just amend the whole thing. Because we're not doing just the restaurant internally.
I want to have a set of plans.
Yeah.
Or the plaza for the restaurant. Everything's like a-
So you have no issues with the restaurant internally? Everything there is agreeable. You're trying to finalize the exterior or the front.
Well, I guess our question would be, if we can get drawings done for the interior in the meantime, which are in the process. We can get a permit, not change anything in the exterior. We can get a permit to do the renovations on the interior. And then we'll keep moving on with this exterior approval.
Anything interior is really, it's really. hard.
So you can approve, I think what we're looking at is approving the business internally and then amending the site plan for the exterior finishes. So that much we could,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's exactly what we're looking.
so the restaurant, what do you say? What?
But yes.
Yeah, okay. So I just want to clarify that what you're discussing shouldn't impede what's happening as far as that. So that we could make an approval on,
Actually, that's more important than the
Can-
exterior, right?
separate or contingent on the exterior submissions or amendments, however you want to word.
Yeah.
So it can't be that, so.
The site plan is what we call for any application that new businesses have, whether they're doing changes or not. The site plan application is the vehicle for it.
Right, but in this case, we're not approving the site, the outside, we're approving the business to begin with, so why
Right.
are we making a motion to do?
You tell me, you're approving the business. You have no problem with the floor plan, the layout, the use, the hours.
Well, if they
Yeah, well,
go
that
out
would
to
be a separate
another
discussion.
restaurant comes in.
We haven't had to deal with it.
Site plan of that new business going
Right,
in.
you're approving the business plan, if you will.
Right,
They're taking the
Right.
same
And that's-
square footage.
And do you word it as such?
Moving it next.
That it could, exclusive of any exterior approvals that will be addressed in in an amended site plan.
Give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
I just feel like I think we have two different things here.
But there's been still people with respect to exterior. Changes.
Any-
Motion to approve the interior site plan for the restaurant operation with no external
Approved.
Exterior renovations and adjustments.
No, but-
I mean,
Yes.
we're doing this piecemeal thing.
So how do you?
But you have two different things going on here.
Go get a building permit or a separate site.
Yes.
So why can't we just do that? So that site plan is still ongoing.
Yeah.
Technically, what we do with it is.
Right.
Ask them to do that so we can understand for sure what's going on. But the code doesn't speak to the authority. That's, you know, the internal ship.
Right, that's where it all goes into play, so. So what kind of a motion would you say you can make then?
Approving the restaurant business as submitted?
As the business has submitted, having no approvals provided for any exterior work, improvements, changes.
Right, which is more or less what Dan motioned.
And I'll second that motion.
So all in favor of just approval of, we're calling it site plan in reference to interior improvements only, nothing for the rest, or nothing for the restaurant, exterior specifically.
And Jen, second. Any opposed?
Any opposed?
All right. So the restaurant itself has been approved. Any exterior changes
Interior.
need,
I'm gonna ask something.
They got a plan.
We're gonna have to go through recordings for this thing.
I am,
Given the kind of where we started here, how we got here, what's been, I'm not gonna even say approved, but I'd like to have a list of what approval was given. Or signage, right, but have it on a list for this project, if you could.
So you're.
for the next meeting or now?
Yes.
For the,
For the next meeting. And then meantime, try to make a complete set of drawings that you think addresses the restaurant facade, any site plan changes we talked about, like the dumpster and other. Because we can amend that.
So basically just amending the original site plan approval for the plaza, and all the
Yes.
exterior work. We're
Include,
just amending that to include the new
yes,
exterior, improvements to the restaurant.
yeah. and then-
now that you have a direction, when you first came to the board, you didn't have a direction on the front.
You know,
Now we can finalize the exterior site plan
Right.
with by making an amendment
and you-
with what we have.
They'll change slightly, then I would update the plan, or, if you are still unsure about the dumpster, put what you think you're going to do, complete with what the dumpster's gonna
but
look
what will
like.
show,
And then
either we shrink it down or leave it the same. We'll put a new, we'll propose a vinyl, dark bronze enclosure for now.
Do you think on all this you would like to build at this point in time? If it changes, you can always come back. But we can't approve you finally until we have a complete set of drawings. And also don't include anything that's in the right of way, and that's.
Well, now I do, yeah.
Don't include anything that isn't really part of the approval, so old snapshots of renderings or whatever else is in these plans, take that stuff out.
Yeah, that's gonna become new, like, and it just.
So revised submittal for final approval. And that's just what you submit is exactly what they're going to approve or not.
Okay, sorry it took so long, but. Thank you.
Well, there were so many different parts. Sometimes it's hard to keep them separate. There were too many parts overlapping.
Thanks for clarifying about the approval on the restaurant.
We'll make sure that goes together too.
Thank you.
That was more important than anything.
Right, I knew as far as the interior.
Keep going, that's the whole.
All right, we'll talk more.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. The next thing I guess we have is the minutes. Thank you, Joanne, for those minor edits. Did anybody have any other questions or? And so when I resubmitted it recently, it included that. Thank you. So I don't know if everyone else reread it. Did anybody else have any questions?
Make a motion to approve. Yes. We usually say. Yeah. There's a second, all in favor?
I thought that was unsaid.
Yeah, man, we just changed the code to not have to say that, just have it be assumed that whatever.
Wait, come on. I would like to assume that there's no changes that ever need to be made, so. So no, you haven't. So the next meeting is first Monday of February. Hopefully everyone's gonna be here.
When they first submitted, and Honda, they submitted a short form, right? Thank you.
I'm not sure.
Yes. Good.
I feel like one of them might have had a long form because that just happened to be what I sent him, but,
Whenever they submit it for the next meeting, just make sure it's part of what we got.
then you should already have it because if they gave it to me to begin with, you should have already had it, but I will send the seeker forms to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make a motion to adjourn.